Okay, my daughters are getting situated. I'm currently in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and for a few days, and my daughters are with me, excited to talk about this. Excuse me, this topic. My name is Christina Martinez Williams. I've been drinking ketones for almost 6 years, and I've been sharing them for 4.5. And this was a way, talking about booths and tables is really exciting to me because it was a way for me to grow my business at the same time as doing it online and on Facebook. And it helped me to get myself in front of more people and become more comfortable talking about my story with ketones, because I had to do it so much when I'm in front of people at a booth or at a table or with a tasting. And so it gave me the opportunity to share more and to practice talking to people and to gain more confidence and gain more excitement even about sharing ketones. And then it also made it possible for me to talk to more new people and not just the same people that are around me day after day, but to add more and more people to the list of people that I get to share this with. So I'm really passionate about this topic. I chose to share in gyms and barbershops and salons, and did that on a regular basis, as many as like 3 gyms a week, because I really wanted to get in front of as many people as possible. I would do like 3 gyms a week and then 2 or 3 salons and barbershop combination on Saturdays, and kind of made it my job to do that and do that on a consistent basis. And that consistency paid off as well over time. So I'm sure that Aisha is going to be talking about some of that, to the follow-up and aspects of that. And I want to introduce this to her, but this is a great way for the outcome of this call is to really just talk about why we do tables, why we do booths, why we do tastings, and then also how to do them and how simple they can be. And that this is another avenue that you can attract people to our conversation, that you can connect and create curiosity. And one of the many tools that we can all take advantage of and that are available to us more and more, especially now that COVID is at a different space than it was a year or so ago. So, awesome. Carla, you're going to have a live tasting party when you get to your new place for housewarming. That's awesome. All right. So I'm going to pass the mic to Aisha, and she's going to introduce herself and get us started. As you have questions, drop them in the chat, and then we'll be sure to make sure that your questions get answered by the end of this call. Thank you for being here. Thanks for jumping in. And if you're watching the replay, awesome. This is going to be great. Right, Aisha, you're on mute.
There you go. You can hear me now. Yes, hi, everybody. I'm Aisha Vidal. I am in Minot, North Dakota, where it is raining like crazy out there, but I guess that's better than snow, or actually, I would probably even prefer snow. Anyway, I do lots of booth sets. If before COVID, I would say almost every weekend I was doing something. So I wasn't the one like Christina that would just pop up and go to gyms, salons, even though I have. My gig was more like vendor events and scheduled events. And so I'll talk a little bit about what you can do as a minimum for a table, an absolute bare minimum, all the way up to getting a little more elaborate, which would then, of course, make you more attractive sometimes when you do that. So I will start with minimum. Like, what do I need? 3 of these. These are bottles. I have mine labeled. I have them different colors. This baby blue, I'll have a black, I'll have a pink, I'll have a red, different color bottles. But the main thing is this is a metal bottle. This is going to hold your product cold for 1 to 2, even up to 3 days if you need to. The ice in here will stay that long. So I fill this with ice, and then I add 16 ounces of water or whatever, and it's a 32-ounce bottle. So I have on the table a minimum of 3. You could even do 2, but I like 3 flavors, okay? your ketones. Just a note, I always do caffeine free. That way, kids can taste them. Somebody on different medications that can't have caffeine can taste them. And even the person that says, caffeine makes me jittery, I'm not going to try your stuff, I don't want to be jittery. Caffeine free only is all I use in my bottles to taste test. And then once I dump this packet into the bottle, I put it in front of the bottle so that not only myself know what flavor is in that bottle, everybody, all the provers that are working a table also knows what flavor is in that bottle. Okay, so I share that as well. Also, as a minimum, cups. I do anywhere from 1 to 2 ounce cups. This I think is a 2 ounce cup. You can do as much as 4, but this is adequate. These are color. They come in blue, green, yellow, pink. They make your table a little more attractive, but you don't need that. You can go with a minimum of just a small cup. This is what I use to taste test, and this is all they need. We're not trying to put them into ketosis. We are trying to get them to taste the product. So that's at a minimum. Oh, the other thing I have is just a regular shaker bottle so that when they come to my table and they see the big bottles, they go, oh, that's what I have to drink a day? And I go, no, this is a bottle you would use. These are my show bottles. I just mix them bigger. So I like to have that as a visual. Okay. So to get a little more elaborate than that, I have, of course, banners, and I don't have one here, but I do use table skirts. Did you see that, Christina? Yeah, okay. So this table skirt I got from KZ Swag. And this just, you guys, it just drapes over the table. And I love the drapes because even if I do an outdoor event, it will stay. Okay, it's not going to blow away like a banner would. Banners are terrible outside. So that's one other thing that I add as something a little more elaborate. I have people all the time that will come up and say, do you have any information I can take with me? You guys, I just print these out. These are right on the Prove It website. And I just copy them. And then the one thing you want to make sure you do is add your information on the bottom. These are just address labels, by the way. You can get them from Office Max, you can get them anywhere. So that's literature for people to walk away with from the table so that they can follow up or at least read something about the product. The other thing, to me as a minimum, is this baby right here. I absolutely love the Ketogenic Bible. You can do other things or put other information books on your table. Again, they're going to attract, and they are also going to give some information that, so I don't have to be the spokesperson. This book will give them information if they have curiosity questions about Alzheimer's, dementia, cognitive function, some of the studies surrounded around ketones. You can also use Fat for Fuel by Dr. Joseph Marcola. You can use Keto Clarity by Jimmy Moore. Another book you can use is The Complete Book of Ketones by Dr. Mary Newport. The Ketogenic Bible is my jam. That's what I've always used, so that's what I stick with. But it's not the end of the world if you don't have that particular book. Okay. Just like you want to be able to give people information, I have my business cards. Again, these are from KZ Swag. Really cool, Prove It, very colorful. And that's for me to give to people. And then I have my Blitz cards. Again, my information is attached on the bottom. And if different provers are doing the show with me, obviously they have theirs with their information as well. So that's for me to give to someone. So in order to gather someone's information that's interested in the ketone conversation, it's like, you know what? I will follow up with you by sending you a great 4-minute video for you to check out. That will give you additional information. If you give me your information, I will send you that video. I'm also having Maddie V make a file for these items. So you would be able to go into like an events file or folder, and you would be able to get these items and print them out. But here I'm simply asking, what is your name? What is your email address? And what is your phone number? I text the video to you. So I'd like the cell phone number. And if they're interested, they don't have a problem giving you their information. And this is where the magic happens for me. I used to do events and I would want everybody that walked by to sign up. Why? Because I'm giving something away. I've learned I get 100 people to sign up that aren't really interested in ketones, ketosis, or my information. They're only interested in winning something for free. I waste my time following up with 100 people that are not interested in anything I have to say. It just takes time out of my day, out of my week, and it kills your spirit when you're contacting 100 people and only 10 respond. Well, here's what I want. I want the 10 people that are interested in what I have, the 10 people that are interested in the further conversation. I no longer do giveaways. If you want information, I'll send it to you. If you don't, it's okay. Just thank you for stopping and trying our ketones. So these are uber important. And the thing that I like best is when they check all 3 of these boxes, that's the first person that I'm going to contact. And that's the person I'm going to be in touch with the most. Because they're interested not only in the product and better health, earning free product, but they're also interested in earning extra income. So that could be my next business partner. The other thing that I have, again, is a nice thing. I have ketone test strips. And I just explain to people, this is what they are. You get them from any drugstore. And guess what? They'll tell you if you're in ketosis. And I give them a quick overrun on how to use them. Also, I tell them to watch for expiration dates. They do expire. And also watch the light that goes into the bottle. In other words, don't open this bottle and leave it open. These are ruined, by the way. I open them so much at different events. These are no good. So if you try to test with them, you're probably going to get negative results no matter what you do. So I educate on those as well. Another nicety since COVID, I have the antibacterial on my table. A lot of people love that. And they'll even watch me clean the pen before I give it to them to write their information down. So that tells them that I care about them as well. And I care about their health as well as my own. So that's at a minimal. If you want to go again a little bit more elaborate, I do have support items on the table as well. You want to have your Mitoplex. You could have other support products, your keto cream. You can have the 24-hour fast. That will bring up another conversation. The 60-hour reboot, that can bring up another conversation. We have our Nat Light on the table, that can bring up another conversation. So you want to attract people to you. And when you have those other things on your table, it may just catch somebody's attention that way. Okay, did somebody have a question, Christina?
Yes, someone is asking, did you get any negative feedback because they don't see you mixing the product?
No. No, I mix my bottles at the beginning of the show. And or before the show opens, because the first person that walks up to my table, I don't want to say, hold on a second, let me mix my product. I mix it before the show starts, but I'm also letting other vendors hear what's that. Okay, those are the ones that are hearing it. And those are the ones that are seeing me mix it. But as far as the customers that are coming through, it's all, they're already mixed. So I have never gotten anybody to say, why didn't you mix that in front of me, or anything to that effect. The bottles are ready. Do you keep on ice? Yes, I absolutely do. Again, no, these bottles do not have to sit on ice. Now, when I do the keto ups, I may have a small cooler and I have cooling pads or frozen pads in there with the keto up. I try not to have ice because all that does is make a mess all over the table, all over your information, and you don't need that. The other thing that I do is I have these that I have made, copied for keto meals. I do not have anything for the keto meals on my table other than the information.
And how many packets do you put in each of those flasks, the 32-ounce flasks?
1.
Okay.
Remember, I'm still measuring the amount of water that I add. And quite honestly, even using a Dasani bottle, for instance, what is that, 12, 16 ounces? I think it's 16 ounces. Even doing that in one of these big bottles full of ice, I still have people, oh, that's sweet. And when that happens, again, it opens the door for a conversation of, yes, you mix to taste. If you like it sweeter, you add less water. If you like it less sweet, you add more. So that gives me the door open to bring up that effect.
Awesome. How do you find the events that you have tables at?
Okay, finding events is pretty simple. There are different ways to do so. I might hear an ad on the radio about a bridal show coming up. So that's an opportunity for me to go, oh, bridal show, where is it at? And then I could even reach out to the venue where it's at. They have the information of the person to contact to get more information if there are vendor spaces available or left over. Another place would be Facebook. Go to your Facebook page, go to local events, and it'll tell you right there what events are happening. Another thing you can do is, who's your Tupperware person? Who's your Pampered Chef person? Who's your makeup person? They are pretty in tune to where events are, or events that they love to do. As far as, do they do car shows? Do they do nonprofits? They have events as well. And that's an opportunity for you to set up. And a lot of the nonprofits that do them, they don't even ask for money for the booth. They ask for something for a drawing, which of course we're happy to do, because guess what? We give away ketones with the information. So I love those types of events. Once you get into a show, typically they will invite you back. And also you can talk to other vendors while you're at an event and say, hey, what are you doing next? Oh yeah, we're going to be in this town at this place. And hey, here's the event coordinator's information. Then that gives you an in into that event. Yes, Eventbrite, yes, also has events posted. And I'm not afraid to drive, usually about 2 hours around in the area to do an event.
Awesome. One place, I just Googled vendor events in the DMV area or wherever area you are, and it brought up a bunch, and then it brought me to links. I also found that piece of like people inviting you back, but also as you talk to people, there's often people who come to your table that are hosting their own events that they will then like they'll invite you because you're talking, if you're bringing your positive energy, they'll also say, hey, actually, I'm having an event that's coming up. Would you like to be a part of it?
Absolutely. We're usually the happiest booth at the event. We're laughing, we're engaged. Our whole physiology is open. We don't sit around typically on our cell phones with our heads down. We don't sit with our arms crossed or stand with our arms crossed. Most of the time I am standing unless it's a super slow event and there's really, it's almost a ghost town walking through the aisles. Then I may sit for a bit, but for the most part, I'm standing and I am engaged.
Awesome. And the question is, do you sell packets for trials? How many, and if you do, how many do you pack up when you bring them?
I never pre-pack. I know a lot of people do, but I don't pre-pack. I want people to pick the flavors, caffeinated or caffeine-free, that they choose. And then at that time, I will package them in a clear packet. I'll show you what that is. So I use these sleeves. And these sleeves are perfect if you take information, fold it in half. It goes into the sleeve. And then, let's see if I have ketones. Okay. So then if I'm selling 5 for $40, they go into the sleeve as well. So their 5 packets will go in here, or if they do 10 for, I sell 5 for $40 or 10 for $75 from the table. If somebody wants to 10 for $75, it's so much easier to say, you know what, for $99, you get 20 and you get 10 caffeinated, 10 caffeine free. You get to try the product out, and that's your best savings. So that's how I sell from the table.
How much product do you bring with you then?
I bring a variety of flavors, mostly the flavors you don't get anymore, but you want to be sure to let them know you're picking this as one of your products to take from the table, but just know it may not be available in our catalog. So the only flavors that I mix in my bottles are the mainstays: raspberry lemonade, strawberry peach. I love doing a Swiss cacao as a break in the fruity flavors, but I always ask, do you like chocolate, before I ever pour that chocolate. Usually I'm pouring the raspberry lemonade as I'm telling them what it is. Chocolate, I always say it first and then pour if they're interested in trying it. Blueberry acai or lime thyme is the other favorites.
Awesome. How many, or I guess like for you, what's an average number or a range of the number of people that you get numbers from when you're at an event? Does it vary, or what's, I guess, I mean, of course it varies, but what's that range?
Yeah, it varies. I would say at a minimum, any event I've ever done, I would say 4 as a minimum to follow up with. But that does not include the people that actually sign up to purchase a trial box of ketones. The other thing I will tell you is doing vendor events. And here was the breaking point, or the difference for me. Before COVID, and I did these events, for an example, I made VIP multiplier. I mean, I made multiplier. When events ended because of COVID, I struggled to make multiplier, or I didn't make multiplier at all. Events are back. I have no problem making multiplier. So that makes a huge difference in my new volume that goes through my business, are these events. And again, it always puts people in front of you, so you have someone new to follow up with. And again, they may not reach back out to you, but until they tell me not to contact them, I'm going to keep sending them sales. I'm going to keep giving them information on calls and guest calls and invite them.
Awesome. How do you consider cost for yourself? Like when you're looking at events and trying to figure out which event you're going to, how do you consider cost? And then also, how do you do events with a team when you have people coming with you? How do you navigate that?
Gotcha. So since I have the experience on doing events, what I will tell you is probably the average that I pay is $100. And when I say average, that's anywhere from $25 or even free, but they want a donation. And when I do a donation, it's still a $25 value. So let's say $25 at a minimum. And my highest at this point that I do would be like a bridal show. Those come in anywhere from $250 to $350 to do a bridal show. The rest are anywhere in between there. And I'm okay paying that, especially if you are working with a team, then that cost is divided. When you're working with a team, you could either divide the booth space time out. You are there from 10 till noon. You are there from noon to 2. You are there from 2 to 4. Behind the table and engaged. The other way to do it is if there's 2 of us, obviously we don't break that day up. We are both there from opening to closing. You could do whoever draws the person over, whoever does the majority of the speaking, whoever gets them to give that information is the person that gets that lead. That's what they walk away with. Or you can attract people, get a bunch of leads, and then just divide them up at the end. So either way is adequate. It just depends on the amount of people you're working with and their experience, I think. A lot of the vendor or people that work with me during vendor events, they keep the leads that they gather. Did Maddie V have a question?
No, I see another question of, do you donate ketones when they ask for door prizes? And I think
Yes.
that you did answer that, I believe.
Yes.
But yes, you do. And I wanted to ask as well, what do you say? So what's your, like, as people approach your table, what do you say to them? How do you talk?
Well, as they approach my table, I'm super excited because I didn't have to coast them over. So when they approach my table, I just light up because it's because there's something that they've seen that attracted them over. And so when that happens, it's like, hi, how are you? You know, so it's more of a casual, hi, how are you? Because I've got time to do that, right? But when they're walking by, it's a different story. Nothing that they've seen has approached them. So now I have to do it with words. So now it becomes more of a, hi, have you tried our new ketone flavors? New ketone flavors, what do you mean? Well, I've learned to say that because I do so many shows. If I just simply say, have you tried our exogenous ketones or have you tried our ketones? Their answer is yes, and they keep walking. Now I say, hey, have you tried our new ketone flavors? Wait, new? Whether they're new or not, maybe I mixed up a different flavor that day. So I get them to at least stop or slow down or come over and taste the new ketone flavors. The other question would be, hi, what do you know about ketones? Ketosis would be another way. A mom that's pushing a stroller and she's got 3 kids following her. I may make a comment about, oh boy, would you like to try some mommy juice? Or, hey, look at, you're a beautiful mom. How would you like to keep up with the bunch that you're running around chasing? Here's the way to do it. Here's ketone fuel. So there's different approaches. It just depends. Compliment. That gets people to at least stop, but you want to make the compliment genuine. If you love somebody's hair color, tell them you love their hair color. Don't hate their hair color and say, I love your hair color, really. Come on over. So you want to be genuine. You want to, whether it's a comment on their shoes or their shirt or their hair, their makeup, doesn't matter. Just make it genuine. That'll at least give them time to slow down so you can say, hi, how's your day going? I find it hard when somebody's walking by to just try to make rapport by saying, hello, how are you? How's your day going? By that time, they're already gone. So you just have to go in for the ketone conversation right away. So it's all a feel.
Mhm.
You'll get a feel for it once you start doing these events. They'll get easier and easier.
Awesome. I saw a question, or I thought of a question. What was it? If people have more questions, put them in the chat. I know, so Lori said that she's excited for Maddie to get the flyers up. There are already a bunch of resources, Lori, in the folders, and everyone else. There's a bunch of resources already there. And then Aisha's going to add the newer ones that she has shown us as well. But there is a bunch that are already in there. Aisha, what would you say you do in your down? Well, okay, so 2 questions. What do you do to follow up? I know you say you follow up all the time, but what does that mean? What do you do? When, how? And then also when you have downtime when you're at the event, what do you do?
Okay, so one of my first follow-ups is a video. Okay, so I met you at a bridal show. That's a clue for me, or a reminder for me where I met you. And so that follow-up would look like, hi, Christina. It was so nice to meet you at the bridal show at the Clarion, January 30th. Here's a great video for you to check out. It's super short, and hit me up after you've watched it, or I'll reach back out to you. So that's my first follow-up, is sending, yes, the campfire video or the Access Health video, any one of our videos. If I talk to somebody specifically about something and there is a video by Dr. Ryan Lowry or Jacob Wilson or Dr. Andrew Campitelli, I will send them that video as opposed to the campfire. But really, that's my first contact with them. The next contact would be, hey, did you have a chance to watch the video? And that's a day or 2 later. And then the next contact could be, hey, we have a great guest call coming up. If I were to send you the information, would you be able to join in as my special guest? And then I give them the date and time of the call. So already that's 4 contacts that I've made with them. Hopefully I'm getting some kind of an answer back, whether it's I'm busy, can't. Then of course you follow up with, if I were to get the recording, would it be okay to send it? And then follow up with you afterwards for that. So that's how I run my follow-ups. And as far as downtime, typically not a lot of downtime, because if I'm not talking to somebody in front of me, I'm talking to somebody on this side of me, or I'm talking to somebody on that side of me. I may even jog across the room. I take my bottle and my cup for another vendor that's been doing nothing but watching me the whole time and doing like this because they're trying to hear what I'm saying. I'll just take the product to them and say, hey, would you like to try this? And I pour for them. And then I run back over to my table. So I'm talking to somebody. Yeah. Whether it's a customer walking through or another vendor, or that downtime can also be used to send those videos for the people that have walked through the show earlier. So it's done.
Awesome. Yes, I think vendors often are even the best customers and the best potential promoters even. And they're more open usually than some other people sometimes that are walking around. They're more open, even if they're not yet interested, they're more open to listening and learning than some other people. So that's awesome. Last question that I have, Cindy, yes, this is recorded right now, so you can watch it again. And yes, they're already entrepreneurs. Emily, you're exactly right. Aisha, I know that you sign people up on the spot as customers or promoters. Can you tell us about how you do that, what device you use, and your thinking around that?
Okay. One of my last investments. First of all, I did it with this. You know, if the event where I'm at does not have Wi-Fi, I use my phone. It's not the best. It's actually slower. Um, Trying to type it in to get their information put into the system. I prefer the computer if I have Wi-Fi. But one of my last investments, when I bought my last iPad, I actually have Wi-Fi on that. And so now I can put them in, I can type it in, it's faster, it's easier, and I try to do it on the spot. Front mind awareness. If you are waiting 1 to 2 to 3 days after an event to get somebody signed in, you're gonna, chances are better that you would lose them. You just lose their attention. They went home, they got busy, they're not going in to sign up. So I do it on the spot.
Awesome. Super helpful. One comment I wanted, maybe in a second, my my throat just went away, my voice. I think one aspect that I've experienced too from tables is keeping it really simple. Like Aisha said in the beginning, as much as you can, especially if your budget is smaller. One way that I did that was I used a bed sheet, like a shiny black bed sheet that looks velvety, and put that over top. And then if you can get from the dollar store, the plastic like upright stands that you can slip a piece of paper into, and they're like this, and they're like $1, and you can print off something that says, ask me about ketones and ketosis, or that I take whatever type of things that you take, or like ask me about the 10-day challenge or the core 4, ask me about the core 4, something that catches attention that you don't have to, you can print, or you can even write out in colorful markers. So don't mess up good for perfect with this. Start where you can. I just got a little box that I would put all my supplies in, empty boxes of ketones to show up on, like show, and then the ketogenic Bible, and then my bed sheet. And I had 2 things. One of them, I put my picture, my before and better picture in so that people could see that. And that often drew people over to me as well. And then as you can invest, then you can get a retractable banner, or you can get those table skirts as you can build onto that. But don't wait to go to a table before you have all that stuff. Start with the most simple and the easiest things that you have, because they exist and it can cost you $5. Like I got little silver trays to put from the dollar store that I put the water bottles on, so that I could just have them displayed on something that
Hey, how are you?
fancy. So it doesn't have to be extravagant. It can be, but I think also that the more simple you aesthetically you leave it, the more it doesn't detract people from the conversation with you. Like you are their conversation. Your story is what's going to drive and lead this. And we know that from any type of conversation we start in whatever medium that we're in. But the more that you can build personal relationship and they can feel your excitement and energy, the more that's the focus. It doesn't matter what's on the table ultimately. They're not going to get into ketosis from the little sips. So your story is going to do that. Paul is saying that the cell phone companies also make hotspots that work. Yes, definitely. You can connect to your hotspot if you don't have Wi-Fi connected to a tablet.
Correct. And circling back around, Christina,
yes.
My main objective is to get them to taste. Okay. Mm-hmm. And the difference it makes, and I watch people, the surprise look on their face when they taste it and it's actually good, and it's thin and it's clean, and people are used to chalky and milky and thick. And I can tell, because sometimes when I say, would you like to try it? I get a look of horror, like they're horrified sometimes to try it. But then once they do, they're like, absolutely amazed at how good it is. And so that's the main objective, is for me to get them to just relax a little bit and know that this is something different that they've never had before. And it works. So it's as simple as a bottle and tester cups.
Yeah. One thing I found too is the more that I can lead with my story and the less that I can not just give them a science lesson, because I love the science, and so then I would get sometimes bogged down in sharing the science. Some people, you'll tell, they want to know that that's where they're at. They need that information. But of most people, if you lead with your story, that's the most powerful thing. They can connect to that. They can relate to that. And then the more, if I can ask questions about, like, if better were to show up in your day, what would it look like in the form of these benefits? Which of these would excite you? What would it look like? And a lot of people aren't used to being asked that. So it causes them to pause and think. And then they end up revealing to you something pretty profound about their lives. I've had people say, I'm not sure. Actually, I think I would just need to sleep better. And it helps them to remove themselves from this preconceived notion of keto being for for weight loss. It helps to like remove us to the space of what this is actually about when you ask people those questions and then get to know them and then can follow up. So I always liked to keep notes of, after I spoke to people, if there was enough time in between people, I would make a little note to myself, Susie, and then she was wearing this, something that would remind me of like what she looked like so I could connect to that. And then something that I learned about her. She's a mom of 4 kids. She's an athlete. She is looking for this. I'm going to have that on my card, but that card is only going to tell me so much about my conversation. And that those pieces, I can still go back in my phone and find notes that list out that. And so if I go back and their name comes to mind again, I'm going to go back and say, hey, I just thought of you and it's been 3 years, but are you still interested in this, or are you interested in this?
Yes, absolutely. And I do make notes, whether it's mom with 4 girls, or something that I can relate back to, because that relation could also come back later in a text message when I'm trying to engage her into, maybe she's a stay-home mom, maybe we mentioned income. So I do put notes on the slips as well. But of course, once they walk away, then I try to just jot down a quick note if I've got time to do that. So yeah, that's uber important as well.
Awesome. Yes, Lori, people love to feel special.
Yes.
So the more that you can ask them questions about themselves, the more that you'll help uncover what they're actually looking for. They may not have walked over your table thinking about what they're looking for, or even thinking that they want something out of this that you have in front of them. But the more that you can engage in conversation with them, the more that they can do that. We're going to wrap up in a minute. So if you have any other questions, put them in the chat. Aisha, is there any last, like, these focus on this, make sure you remember this, that you want to tell us?
Well, the other thing that I think is pretty important is for you to know the etiquette of the booth space, know the etiquette of the event that you're at. And what I mean by that is, for example, if you start packing up early, a lot of shows will not invite you back. Like, you're blacklisted right then and there. So you don't ever want to pack up early, but get a feel for the people that are doing this show. Setup times, tear down times. Make sure you know if is there a deposit involved? Is there a connect piece where they're going to connect with you for future shows? Things of that nature. What if there's an emergency cancellation? I just had one cancel, or we packed up early due to weather. So just kind of know that going in as well.
Awesome. I don't see any questions, so I want to leave you with 3 things that I hear from Aisha and from myself, from my experiences as well, to keep in mind. And then I also want to leave you with an action step to walk away from this training with. So first of all, keep it simple. Keep this process simple. You can always add to it. You can always tweak it. You can always do that, but get started, keep it simple, and use what you already have to do so. You don't even need to, even if you don't have a ton of product to sell as trial packs, that does not mean that you can't go and do tables. You just don't have trial packs. Awesome. Or you have very few, or yours are maybe 3 packets per or 2, and you're selling that quantity. That never limit what you can do based on what you have or don't have. Your energy is one of the most important things in an event, whether that's a tasting in a gym or a booth, whatever it is, your energy and how you show up to the space is what's going to matter the most. And people are going to feel it, and people are going to see it, and they're going to be attracted to you as a result, even if they don't come over in the first time. Like if you're going to a gym, for example, and you go there every week, once a week, I've had people who bypass, they take the opposite exit on purpose, and I watch them do it. And then the 3rd, 4th, maybe 5th week, they come over and they've told me, you always look so nice. You always have a smile on your face. And they told me I took the other way every other time, but this time I decided to come by and say hi and see what you have. And now I'm that one person that I'm thinking of, she's a customer and has been for 2 or 3 years. So our smiles, our energy matter. I like to stand in front of the table because it makes me more approachable. I'm open and present with people and engaged in that way. Aisha said, stay engaged. And then the last thing is set expectations ahead of time. So when I walked in, I always took my girls with me on Saturdays. I would take them with me, and I did this with them as well. But when I walk into any place, the thing I say out loud with elevated emotion and excitement is, I am finding the right people today, the people who are ready for what we have, who are potentially going to also be ready to share this with me. And the people who need to hear it today are the ones who are here and the ones who are showing up. The more that I set that expectation, we know from what we've learned in other events from Joseph that when what you think is how you feel is what you do is what you have, that is completely affects how you show up. That energy affects that. The files with the info, Kim, are in Better Starts Here. If you search tables or events in there, it should bring you to them. There's a file section, and then there's also other training from the past. There's lots of resources that are in there already, and then Aisha will be adding to that as well. So those are the 3 things. Now your action step to walk away from here is to decide, what do you want to do? Is this doesn't necessarily mean that every single person who's a promoter needs to go out and be in front of a table or be in a tasting. It can be, but it doesn't mean that everyone has to do that. If you decide that this is something that you want to do, even if it's uncomfortable, pushing yourself outside of that comfort zone to do it, choose that you're going to do that. So first of all, it's deciding if this is something you want to do, yes or no, and then deciding what type of thing do you want to do. Do you want to do a tasting? Do you want to do a booth, or like a table at an event? And then seek out what that is. You can connect again with us, Aisha and I, with other people, with your upline also, and help have assistance in that. But decide what it is that you're going to do, because sometimes we have all these wonderful trainings, and then we leave them and then don't take action on the things that when we're in them, oh yes, I want to do that, I think I can do that, and then we don't go do it. So choose if you're going to do it, choose which is going to be your first avenue of doing it, and then find a place to do that, and make within what time frame. I always add that time frame. Are you going to do it once a month starting out? Are you going to do it every other week? When is going to be your first one? When's your time frame to say, I'm going to find this by this time? And reach out for any other questions. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Aisha, for sharing all of your expertise and experience with us.
Absolutely.
And we're excited to be in front of more people. This is the beauty of what we could do. So thank you all for being here and investing your time.
You're welcome, Kim. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.